Hey, what's up, guys? Just got done with a coaching session. Been about 6 hours that I've been working on curriculum with Dr. Carly Axford, and it's crazy the amount of planning that goes into something like this. We've been organizing a 8-day retreat and 10-day certification training, and the level of detail that is necessary to effectively execute a program like that is something that's really important to understand. It's been months. It's been months that we've been practicing and going through the different curriculum and designing this content, and the layers upon layers of understanding that takes to effectively deliver that into a transformational experience. One of the things that I talked to my clients a lot about is how do you create massive transformation in a short amount of time. And I think the understanding that every single detail matters, and that just to get the big parts correct, whether that's having a training in Bali or having X amount of people or these types of programs, whether that's yoga or meditation or different types of teachings that are associated to that, having the big chunks is the easy part. And where you really stand out in a brand and in your message is when that you can do all the small pieces effectively, where every single moment, every single interaction, every single piece has significance, and not to the significance to that just this is really cool, but there's actually a why behind every little piece that's in there, and every little interaction, and that why is pointing all to the same outcome, and whether that is an outcome of learning, an outcome of healing, an outcome of growth, outcome of personal development, or whatever it is that all those specific things are pointing in the same direction. And how to consider not only the content but also the physical environment and the social environment, and everything that contributes to that understanding. Accelerated learning is one of those pieces that takes all things into consideration, from how I facilitate this conversation, to the way that I stand, to the way that I'm dressed, to the questions that I ask, the activities that people are going through, to the level of interactions in which the activities take place, whether that's facilitation from the front of the room, or whether that's activity from the floor, or whether that's a workbook, or whether that's a video. All those things into consideration based on your learning outcomes and based on who's in the room. That's the other part of the consideration, is who are the people that are learning this information, and what is the information that they're showing up with, and what is the best way for them to get this new information, not just based on kind of conceptual ideas, but based on neuroscience. And how do you build learning, and how do you structure learning in a way that allows you to really understand the information that's being digested, and to ensure that every single participant that walks out of that room will say that, hey, this is the things that I've got. So that's one of the questions that I ask pretty often, is like, first of all, what are your learning outcomes, and how will you know that you've met those learning outcomes, and how will you test those learning outcomes in and outside of the classroom? And at the same time, what are the things that at the end of this session each participant will say? So if a stranger came up to the participant and said, hey, what are the things that you've learned? What are the things that I can guarantee that these people are going to say, and how am I going to test and ensure those things? And when you put that level of thought and that level of attention to your curriculum, then you can produce extraordinary results. And that's part of what I do to support people to really get clear about their content and how to produce some of the most exceptional programs on the planet. It's that level of detail and that level of conversation, and then matched with experience. You take that and you layer that with experience, where you're putting people through different activities or different conversations, or taking them to different places, and then debriefing the learning through their own process. And not being this guru on the stage where I'm giving all this content. Well, that's part of it, and the majority of it is crafting experiences that produce learning outcomes, and then through a line of questionings and a line of debriefing, allowing people to discover what that learning is for them. And when learning comes from that space, it's a totally different thing. And then if you think about in your own life, this is a good example for our coaches, or all our curriculum designers out there. When you think about, for example, in your own life, what that looks like and what that's meant for you, is all your most significant learnings have come from your own personal experiences, whether that's travel or in relationship or learn how to drive a car. Everything comes out of experience, and the distinctions that you make, you can have 100 different people tell you the same thing over and over and over again. Until you experience it, you don't know it as truth. And when you can start to implant truth or create situations where people are determining truth based on their own experience and your own guidance in the context of a classroom where you are creating environments, physical, social, mental, emotional, spiritual environments that provide or lead to certain outcomes, transformation becomes pretty close and pretty easy, and a common result. And that's what the work is about. The work is about creating transformation. The work is about taking content and outcomes that are aligned with truth, that is aligned with truth of what it means to be human, and how do I get people to a place that's closer to them uniquely themselves, and supporting people to do that, supporting people to share a message that supports humanity to understand who they are. So just a little bit of information for those of us who are out there designing curriculum and looking for a way to get started. This video is a good place to start in the conversation to be involved with, is really dissecting your curriculum and asking yourself those questions of, what are my learning outcomes? How will I know that I've met those outcomes? How will I test my audience in those outcomes? And what are the things that my audience will say that they have taken away after leaving this experience? So just a little shout out, lots of love. Hope that's helpful for you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.